Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We come to you on this Wednesday, and I know it's a very, very tough Wednesday for Met fans. And for a lot of them, I know it's kind of like the final straw, the other shoe dropping. But I have to tell you personally, I never, ever felt the Mets were going to re-up Alonso. I have said that on this program all year because I knew what I had been told what Stearns thought about Alonso. I think he is a guy who, number one, he's very aloof. He comes off very cold. We know that. He's very much tied into the information he's tied into and the people he's tied into. He keeps everything very close to the vest. And he has had a thought on Alonso where he was never going to give him a long-term contract. And he made that very clear, and he had made it very clear to Pete and his people. I mean, so it was not a secret. So I never thought that Alonso was going to go back. I thought off last year that Alonso would get a contract from somebody, whether it was the Cubs, whether it was the Red Sox. It turned out to be the Orioles, who are now in a spending mode. So am I surprised? Not in the least. Do I know this is very tough for Met fans to swallow, to see Nimmo go? And actually, I was surprised by some of the affection that the Met fans really showed for Diaz. And let's start with the Diaz thing first. Number one, clearly Diaz didn't want to be here. He was told that the Mets would counter the offer and go higher. He never gave them a chance to do that. He wanted to go to the Dodgers. He wanted out of the Mets. I know there have been reports that he was miffed about them signing Williams. Hey, what did he expect? Now, I can tell you this. If he was still under contract, I would have expected, if I were Diaz, a courtesy phone call telling me what the plan was, that I would be included in the plan. Through the years at FAN, I don't think there was a time when FAN didn't call me and at least tell me what their plan was. Whether I agreed with the plan or not, they had the courtesy to tell me what their plan was before it was done, or what it was before it was announced, before it was executed. They showed that courtesy to me. I really came to expect that courtesy. And honestly, I felt it was an important part of a relationship, that just so you know that you're involved and you can give your 2 cents. Now, did I expect them to change their decision based on me? No. I could tell you a couple of times where I gave them a different opinion and they didn't change their opinion, but they had told me what they were going to do. And I said, well, I think this is the way to go, not the way to go. And they still did what they wanted to do. That's fine. I don't expect to run the place, but I expect them to have the courtesy to tell me. If he were under contract, I would expect that to be the case. He wasn't under contract. He's a free agent. If he's a free agent, he doesn't belong to the Mets. Why are the Mets going to tell him what they're going to do with other players, especially relievers? It doesn't make any sense. They're negotiating to get him back. So from that standpoint, he didn't have a leg to stand on. I think he wanted out. I don't think the Mets lowballed him. I think now you could say, oh, they could have shown him more love. All right, maybe that's true. I thought they should re-sign Diaz. I thought losing him was a mistake. Long term, I do not think losing Alonso is a mistake, because I think there's a chance he is going to show what a lot of bigger right-handed first basemen show, and that is they have a habit of getting old quickly. Now, maybe he won't. Listen, he doesn't miss any games. He always plays. He always plays well. He did a great job as a Met. He had a great Met career. I mean, Alonso was exemplary. I thought he was highly underrated while he was here. Highly underrated. And I can understand, if you're a diehard Met fan, that you were very hurt that he's gone, that you have a great, great feeling and a great loyalty for him. Very understandable. To me now, this is fascinating. Why? Because Stearns, who has clearly shown no personality, showed nothing but a cold demeanor, very aloof, very cold. Clearly, I'm in charge, and that's the way it is, my way or the highway. And I know for a fact that I don't have any relationship with Cohen. I have no relationship with Stearns. So don't think I'm telling you that I do, because I don't. But what I have heard from people I do know is that the owner brought Stearns in. He did his homework. He wanted Stearns. He believes in Stearns. And he believes in letting his managers run with the ball and be in charge. They are the decision makers until they're not. So he gets a chance to build this team. Now he has told you, I had to tear this team down. That is the Stearns position. But here's the problem he faces. He traded away very popular players, which will obviously impact and has impacted, and he's getting the wrath of the fans and the media, which I can tell you right now, I bet you he doesn't give a damn about. He could care less about that. He stuck to his plan today. The owner is letting Stearns run the team. I brought him in here. I believe in him. We did our research. We did our due diligence. He's the guy we wanted to be the architect. He's the architect. He gets his chance to do it. The two things that are going to happen, though, is number one, this is not Milwaukee. He's got to build this at warp speed. This cannot be a 3-year plan. As a matter of fact, this has to show dividends this year because he has the resources to buy whatever he needs or to trade. He's got prospects to get players off teams. He's got money to add to contracts or to go out and get free agents. He has everything, every resource that you need at your disposal to build a contending team. And now he has created the pressure and laid it right at his own feet while he's being yelled at and vilified, which is, like I said, I don't think he worries about that. If he worried about that, he would have brought Alonso back and placated the fan base and some of the media. He didn't care about that. He stuck to his guns. He believed that Alonso should not get more than a 3-year deal. Alonso wasn't going to take a 3-year deal off that contract. He started this last year about Alonso. He never varied. I respect that. But with that comes the responsibility and the accountability of being able to build the team. Now we're going to find out if he's any good. He has shown you he has conviction in what he wants to do. Now we're going to find out if he is any good. You can yell right now, but you can't tell me that he ruined the team until you see the finished product, and this is clearly not the finished product. Now, you always want to know how the Yankees fit into this, right, with the Mets, especially in this era of the Cohen money. I think this impacts the Yankees in a very big way. I never thought what happened with Diaz was going to impact Alonso at all. I knew Alonso had already been told that 3 years was the max. He was not coming back to the Mets. And the Mets didn't expect him to be back. Okay? They wanted to change this team. Whether or not this team, and I told you last summer 100 times that I kept hearing that there was issues in the clubhouse. But that doesn't really mean a lot. There's a lot of times teams hate each other and play great. That doesn't automatically make you bad. They were bad because they couldn't pitch. And they couldn't get a clutch hit. Like the year before, they always got big hits. They always had magical guys getting great at bats at the bottom of the lineup. This year, they couldn't do anything. And the bottom of the lineup was dead. And now they have massive holes everywhere. Where does this first become an issue? Bellinger. I can't see any way that Bellinger isn't the enormous winner here. The Mets now need Bellinger. The Yankees, I think, clearly expected Bellinger to come back. Everyone knows Bellinger loved his year with the Yankees, but hey, if somebody turns around and gives him a lot more money and a lot better terms, you think he's gonna turn it down? Now, he's gonna hit more home runs in the Bronx than he is in Queens. We all know that, and he knows that. But he fits the Mets bill in a big way, and everything I've heard this afternoon is that the Mets are going after Bellinger. The Yankees want Bellinger back. Everybody knows that. Bellinger loved his year with the Yankees. Everybody knows that. We've all watched how good Bellinger was last year. He was terrific. He got big hits. He had terrific 2-out at bats. He had terrific 2-strike at bats. He was wonderful defensively in multiple positions. I mean, he played like a real pro. I was so was every Yankee fan, incredibly impressed with Bellinger last year. I think now he has made it a lot harder. This move makes it a lot harder on the Yankees to just be able to sign Bellinger. I think there's a chance now, a very good chance the Mets are gonna go hard on Bellinger. I also have heard rumblings that Stearns is in on a couple of multi-player deals. That could answer a lot of your issues. Now, that could be anything. Is that the Minnesota Twins? Is that the Milwaukee Brewers? Is that the San Diego Padres? I don't know. The Mets going after big time pitchers. They should. What prospects will they keep? What prospects will they trade? They have wonderful talent as far as prospects go. They have pitching prospects. They have outfield prospects. They have a fortune in money. And I heard this driving today. A couple of callers brought it up. Oh, Cohen did this. He bought the team just to get the casino rights so he could get richer, and then he's going to sell the team during the next labor strife. Cohen is going to be 70 years old in June. He has a reported $23 billion right now. That casino, if it opens on time, doesn't open for 5+ years. You're telling me a guy who is going on 70, who has $23 billion right now, made this move to get a casino that doesn't open for 5 years? Now, I didn't say he didn't want to build that as part of his plan, and he doesn't want to conquer the world from a generational wealth standpoint, okay? Guys like him like to make money just to make money. That's all that's left. It's, it's just win the game. It's win the deal because there's nothing left. I mean, he can't spend all the money he already has. I know people, anybody who's not in his position, and I'm not talking about some guy who's, working 2 jobs. I'm talking about anybody. No, there's only a couple people on the earth that have his kind of wealth. I mean, he doesn't have $1 billion. He has $23 billion. Think about that. Think about how much money that is. So you think he's worried about how much he's gonna make out of the casino? Listen, he likes to make money. He likes to win deals. He bought this team just for the same reason everybody buys teams. Number 1, buying teams is a good buy. Number 2, his wife and her father were huge Met fans, so it was a nice toy. Number 3, made him famous. Goes sits at the Knick game now in the front row and gets cheers if they're playing well. People stick cameras in his face and take his picture. They didn't do that because they don't care about billionaires on Wall Street because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of rich guys. as far as that goes. Maybe not to his extent, but plenty, and they don't get a lot of attention unless they're, in trouble with the SEC, which he has been in the past. Point is, he might have been famous on CNBC. Now he's famous everywhere in New York. And guys like him and Jerry Jones and guys like that, they love this stuff. Arthur Blank, that's why they run around on the sideline on Sundays. They can't get enough of the cameras. And the only way they're famous is as owners. Owners have become famous in this country. They've become celebrities in this country. A lot of that really started by the enormous volcanic personality of one George Steinbrenner. He really started this whole owner craze. Before that, owners stayed in the background. They don't stay in the background anymore. That all started with George. Didn't start with Jerry Jones. Started with George. And we all know George had as big an ego and as much a love of the camera as anyone who ever came down the pike. So that's why he owns a team. And he wants to win. Now, he has found out what guys find out, what Tepper found out so far in the NFL, what guys like Arthur Blank have found out, after conquering the world with Home Depot. They found out that just because they're really shrewd businessmen doesn't mean they're going to come in and conquer the NFL or Major League Baseball. Doesn't mean they're going to win on this level. It's not as easy as they think it is. When they first come in, they think, "Oh, we're smarter than these guys. Come on, we play big boy games. We're smarter than these guys." Then they find out they're not, and they find out they don't know nothing about the games they're playing or how to build the teams. So he waited to get Stearns. He got Stearns, and now he's going to let Stearns do to this team. Now, this team came in and had success the first year, which probably slowed in. It just makes sense that it slowed some of the stuff that Stearns had planned for this team from the beginning. He's going to build a team in his likeness, the team he wants, because he's been given the charge to build the team that he wants. This is now it, but he has got to now do it in a hurry. He has got to put power behind Soto. He has got to replace a lot of home runs. He has got to replace what Nimmo gave the team. He has got to replace what Diaz gave the team. He hopes he has some of that, but he doesn't have all of it. And he has to go out and replace the incredibly popular Pete Alonso, who was a great slugger, who was at the top of the league in home runs and RBIs every single year. He has a lot of work to do. Plus, he needs a ton of pitching because he screwed the pitching up royally last year. Stearns had a terrible, terrible year last year. The year before, he brought in some arms and brought in some pitchers who did a great job. And he got them on the cheap. Last year, he decided he was going to ride that to the umpteenth degree, and it backfired in his face in as big a way as could be possible. He didn't even have anybody to start games, and his pitchers couldn't go to the fifth inning no matter what they did. And the Mets became an embarrassment, and their record cratered. This is his big opportunity. Now, he has made the bold moves. He has traded popular players in the face of your screaming and yelling, in the face of your calling for him to be ousted, in the face of media people wanting to go after him in the worst way because of what he has done. He has vilified the franchise. He doesn't know what he's doing. Well, now he's in charge. And we get to watch and see if he really does know what he's doing. I said to a longtime baseball guy that I've known forever today, I said, "Is he any good?" And he said, "Plays his hand close to the vest." He said, "I thought he was pretty good." And I said, "We're going to find out if he's good or not right now." He pushed his chips. He pushed his career out into the middle because here's what happens with a guy like Cohen. He lets you take enough rope to hang yourself, and he stays out of the way and lets you make the decisions until he doesn't. And when a guy like that loses his patience, he loses it all at once. He doesn't lose it bit by bit. Right now, Stearns has got control of the franchise. There's nobody who can dispute that in any way. That comes from the mouth of the owner. He is in charge of this franchise. He told someone that I happen to know, I liked Pete. It was Stearns' decision. Okay, that's fine. I respect that he allows his managers to do their job. Stearns didn't backtrack after Nimmo, after Diaz, and he clearly wanted Diaz back. But he didn't backtrack and then say, oh boy, now that I lost Diaz and the fans are all over my butt, I better give him something here and give him Pete and give Pete a fourth year and placate Pete in some way and give him enough money to come back and hold off that Oriole offer. He didn't do that. He stuck to his guns, which I admire. But here's now the deal. He took all the chips. He cashed them in. And he put them all on one hand. 2026. He's got to put up right now. He's got to put a team on the field that can win next year, that can be a playoff division contender, a playoff team, a team that has a chance to go play in the playoffs next year and compete. Because to expect anything less from a team with the payroll that they will have doesn't make any sense. And he's left Soto out there high and dry right now. With Lindor, who evidently he doesn't really love anyway, but okay. They need support. They need a big outfielder. They need a big thumper from the right side. They need pitching in the worst way. Now he gets the chance to bring in his guys, make his trades, keep the prospects he wants, get rid of the prospects he doesn't want, keep the young pitchers he wants, get rid of the young pitchers he doesn't want. Pay the guys that he wants, spend big bucks on anybody he wants. A lot of responsibility. It's a lot of power. And the first piece of business really looks like it's going to be Bellinger, because you know who is going to play this to the hilt. And right now, Mets really need Bellinger in the outfield. And the Yankees really want Bellinger in the outfield. They both need Bellinger. I don't know about this Tucker talk. First of all, I'm not as high on Tucker as everybody. I like Tucker, but all of a sudden this offseason, Tucker's been talked about like he is some, insanely good player. I don't see it. And I don't see $400 million. I'm sorry. If somebody like Toronto wants to give him $400 million, God bless. I know the beer company's got a lot of money, but hey, I can think of some better ways to spend it. Bichette would be one. That's a guy I'd be after in a hurry, but everything I hear is he wants to go back to Toronto. If I were the Yankees, if I were the Mets, I'd be all over Bichette. All over him. With both hands. But I hear he doesn't want to play here. He wants to play in Toronto. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. I'd sure find out. There are a lot of ways to play this. There are a lot of trades to be made. There is a lot of things that can happen. But the Mets need a ton of help now. They weren't a good team last year. And obviously, you heard a lot of stuff about how the manager screwed up the bullpen. You saw some of the stuff about how he screwed up the bullpen. But let's be honest. It isn't easy to get your bullpen to execute when your starting pitcher can't get near 5 innings any day of the week. How many days in a row did they go without a starting pitcher going 5 innings last year? And then Peterson fell apart. Their pitching was abominable. And that's on Stearns. Now it's all on Stearns. Nimmo leaving is on Stearns. Diaz not being here is on Stearns. Pete is on Stearns. Now the fans are on Stearns. Now a lot of people are on Stearns. But you know what? The owner isn't on Stearns yet. He's standing side by side with him, and he's saying, "Son, it's what we brought you here for. This is why we gave you all that money. Get to work. Let's see what the product is." I'm fascinated to see it, and I want to see first off what happens with Bellinger between the Yankees and the Mets. And I know there are other teams. You hear about the Dodgers. Well, you hear about the Dodgers on every. Hey, is there a player out there that's any good that all of a sudden the Dodgers aren't involved in? Oh, he might go to the Dodgers. Oh, he might go to the Dodgers. He might go to the Dodgers. He might go to the Dodgers. Oh, yeah, he might go to the Dodgers. Everybody's going to the Dodgers. Dodgers is going to have them lined up outside the building and say, I might take you. I might get back to me on you. It's nice to be the Dodgers. That's how the Yankees used to act. Not anymore. The Yankees now are the kids pressed up against the window with their little faces up against the window, wondering if they have enough money for cab fare. Not really, but, not in essence. But sometimes it seems like that. Fascinated to see what happens with Bellinger. Fascinated to see what kind of team that Stearns puts on the field. This is his time. Now this is his team. He got rid of what he wanted to get rid of. And I'm sure there's a couple other things he wants to get rid of. But the big pieces he got rid of that he wanted to get rid of. He wanted to get rid of Nimmo. We didn't want his defense. He even talked about Nimmo playing first base last year, which scared the heck out of Nimmo. He didn't want to get rid of Diaz, but Diaz didn't want any part of him. And he didn't want any part of Pete. He didn't want any part of Pete for 2 years. Even when Pete came back and had a sensational year, and that's credit to Pete, he wasn't impressed. He didn't want Pete. He never believed in Pete, and he never believed in Pete's future, despite his popularity, which is immense and deserves to be immense with this team. So as we watch this unfold, and baseball, as we've said, goes at, Cashman said today, baseball moves at a glacial pace. That's overstating it. It's slower than that. I mean, it's amazing how tedious. Why spend all this money on meetings? Nothing ever happens at those meetings. Why even bother? I mean, really, you know what they do? They get out of cold for a couple of days. Go to Orlando. Go to some one place for a couple of days. That's basically what it is. Have a couple of drinks, sit by the pool, play a little golf before Christmas. Because not enough happens. Let's be honest. All right, let me get a couple of messages in, and I want to touch on a couple of things before we say goodbye. Tomorrow we'll see what our football Friday. I'm moving it up a little early tomorrow. But you have a big football Friday coming up. Bills and Pats. I like that. A couple of the very interesting games. Some teams have some really tough schedules to finish on. What are the Colts going to do with quarterback? Would they dare play Rivers? We'll get to all that. Now, sign up for the Mike Francesa newsletter. It's free. You get exclusive content, contest offers. Go to MikeFrancesa'Podcast.com and sign up. Now, Bet Rivers players who place the same game parlay of at least $10 on any NFL or NCAA football game will receive entry into the weekly Squares game. Winning Squares can earn up to a $50 bonus bet per entry. See the Bet Rivers app or website for full details. I want to talk good Michigan. I want to talk bad Michigan. Let's talk unfortunate Michigan first. Just before I came down to do this, we found out that the Michigan football coach, who, let's be honest, was going to need a big year next year anyway. But Sherrone Moore has been fired because the school found credible evidence that he was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. The conduct constitutes a clear violation of policy. Well, I would think so. Biff Poggi was named the interim coach. Now, Moore had done really a good job, especially against Ohio State before this year. Um, was promoted to head coach, obviously, in the wake of Jim Harbaugh leaving. Remember, he was suspended for a couple of years. For a couple of games last year. I don't know anything about the relationship. It just says an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. That's all it says. So he has been let go. So that's where the football team is now. As it moves forward, with the quarterback who, let's be honest, they paid a fortune for, who talked a big game before Ohio State, which was unfortunate for him because he should have known better with the defense he was going up against. And really had a rough game, but he has a lot of talent. Now, whether he stays there and happy in this era of the portal, who knows? Now, I want to get to good Michigan. We watched UConn play some of the best basketball that we had seen in a lot of years. Dominating on their way to the championship. Dominating. Not playing a single-digit game in the tournament. Once they put Castle in the lineup that year, on February 1st at the Garden against St. John's, they took off. He turned out to be a great pro. I thought he would. They obviously had 2 or 3 pros in the lineup. They were an impressive team. I didn't think I would see a team that would just floor me for a while after that UConn team. This Michigan team, which went into last night's Villanova game, having beaten its last 5 opponents by an average of 38 points per game. 38 points per game. Not 10 or 20, 38. Gonzaga was a top 10 team, beating teams by 20 and 30 points. Came in and lost to them by 40. Last night, Villanova could not get within 5 feet of the rim. Now, Villanova is, I think, very much improved. New coach, new players. A coach who knows how to win. Obviously, they pirated him from Maryland. He knows what he's doing. They have ability. They're not a great team, but they could have a decent year. They came in 7-1. They hadn't played anybody except BYU, and they lost that game by 2. BYU obviously has a great player who's going to be at the top of the draft. Michigan, led by the Carolina point guard who transferred there, who is, in my mind, if I could build a college point guard, he's it. Now, I didn't watch him a lot at Carolina the last 2 years. I admit that. He started a good number of games. He averaged 8 points and 5 assists. But now, this is now his team at Michigan. And he is about as perfect a college at 6'1", 180, incredibly athletic. He is about as perfect a college point guard as you could want. I mean, you couldn't design one better. Their length, their depth, their ability to shoot, their size. I mean, what they've put together, at half, they had outscored Villanova by 30 points in the paint. Villanova actually shot the ball pretty well in the first half, and they still were down 30 at the half. They wound up losing 89-61. They won the second half by 2, but the second half, they were down 30 at the half. So clearly, but this Elia Cadeau at point guard, who played 20 minutes, had 18 points, 4 assists. Mara, who they got from UCLA, and Lendenberg and Johnson, Burnett, go down the line. This team, I did not have any idea they had put a collection together like this. They are stunningly good. And to be this good in December, I mean, I went and looked at the schedule last night. They only played Purdue once. They play Michigan State twice, as you would expect. They only play Purdue once. They play him, and then they play Duke right after it. Or Duke, Purdue, or Purdue, Duke. They're back-to-back to 2 games. I can't remember which way they are, but they're back-to-back, and they're late. They're like late February, early March. They're going to have to be – I mean, they are winning these games by such margins against good teams. They beat San Diego State. They beat Gonzaga. They beat teams by 30 and 40 points night after night. They won the game last night by 28 points. So right now, there's no discussion. There are some good teams out there. UConn's a good team. Houston's not as good as it's been the last couple of years, but they're a good team. Duke's a good team. There are good teams out there. Purdue's a good team. Iowa State's a terrific team. Really beat up on Purdue last weekend. Michigan is scary. Scary. I want to see the team that beats them right now. That's how good they are. And right now, they tower over the sport with the way they're playing. We'll see you later.